So again, this is for, I think everybody knows, but this is a webinar on the Treehouse CARES Project, and the CARES Project is going to be, what is the Treehouse CARES Project? It's a temporary program funded by the Federal CARES Act. And I am just so excited. I know this is just a really needed service and funding resource right now. This program can pay for tutoring and eliminate financial barriers in school for both youth and in foster care and our youth in extended foster care, which is really exciting as well. So what can this funding cover? And Sarah's going to go over this in more detail a little later on. But one of the major things is paid tutoring. Of course, I think that's probably our biggest request we've gotten since the pandemic has started. And that is virtual or in person by a provider outside of Treehouse. So we don't have tutors that we will be supplying, but we can help do the funding for tutors. We can also pay for academic remediation, school supplies and equipment, extracurricular activities, and then summer school and summer camps. And that some of you might be familiar with some of those requests through our little our just-in-time funding requests, and we'll talk about the differences there. The thing about the CARES Project is this funding is a temporary funding source. So starting, it started in March and will go through the end of the year, so December 31st of this year, or until all our funds are utilized. We've received a $1.3 million grant for this funding. So, you know, that would be kind of amazing if it was all used up, but it will be until the end of the year, until our funds are gone. Okay, and then who's eligible for Treehouse CARES Project? So school age and post-secondary youth residing in the state of Washington, and school age is defined as pre-K and through high school, and then some college as well. Of course, they have to meet some of the below criteria. They have to be a dependent of the state of Washington through DCYF, and have to be in either out-of-home placement, trial return home, or in extended foster care, or an out-of-home care on a shelter care order. So before the dependency order is in effect, you can go ahead and make that request. And youth in federally recognized tribal court jurisdiction as well. And we will be having a specialized training for tribal social workers in the next couple days as well. And then youth enrolled in our graduation success or launch success programs are also eligible, and their staff person can also make requests for funding under this project as well. Okay, so how to make a referral and request. So referral and request are two different things. It gets a little confusing. So if you have a youth in your home or you're working with who has a current Treehouse referral, which is the annual referral we do for the whole program year, they do not need a new referral. And so we do have to make sure that because of the contract that youth meet the eligibility for this program at the time the request is made, and we'll go ahead and verify that through social workers. Youth without a current Treehouse referral, we will be asking social workers to make that annual referral through the Treehouse website portal. So once a referral is made, like that annual referral, social workers, youth, and caregivers can submit a funding request through our website. And that's just like if you were making a just-in-time funding request, it will be that process. So we'll need the referral from social workers, but then you as a caregiver or your youth or your social worker can actually make just the general request. And then, yes, our Treehouse education staff who are already working with kids are also eligible to make that request. Okay, and then Sarah.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Sarah.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Michelle. This is Sarah Mazer. I'm the program manager of the financial resources department at Treehouse. And so I'm going to start talking about what Treehouse really can pay for with the CARES project. So Michelle kind of went over some of these already, but I'll go into a little bit more detail. So for the paid tutoring, which we're really excited about, the funding can cover the cost of a tutoring assessment, which some tutoring centers will charge. We can also pay for up to 12 sessions of in-person or virtual tutoring per funding request. And so we want to pay for 12 sessions at a time, try not to do more than that. And then if it's going well, we can continue paying for another amount of sessions, whatever works for the family and whatever works for the youth and all of your schedules. And as Michelle had mentioned before, we are asking that the caregivers and or social workers are researching and identifying tutors that are going to work with your schedules that really meet the needs of your individual student. Determining the type of tutoring. So if you're needing math, tutoring English, maybe some tutoring for study skills, there's lots of options out there. So the request form will ask these specific questions. You'll need to provide the location. So if you're wanting to do like in-person or virtual, if you want to do it at a Sylvan Learning Center, or if you want to have it done, over Zoom with a tutor that you know from before. So there's lots of different places and options out there. So we just really want you to provide as much information as you can in the request. And also we can also cover with the CARES project is academic remediation. So this looks like credit recovery or summer school. And then also we can assist with school supplies and equipment associated with school engagement. Here's some examples listed here. So that could look like laptops, other technology needed. And then extracurricular activities, we can assist with sports fees, music lessons, things that are really going to assist and support the social emotional development or engagement in school. And then as well as summer camp, we can assist with summer camp. We do have some, limitations on what we can provide and what we can pay for. But generally, if a request is above the amount of maybe like $500, we may need more information. And so we would be responding in an email back to you or with a phone call. And I'll review that in the next slide. So funding requests can be submitted online through our website, and I'll show you a version or a picture of what that would look like in the next slide. We want to make sure that the youth is eligible for the funding at the time of the request, so there'll be some questions asked in the beginning about that and about their legal status, and also if they're involved in any Treehouse programs. So youth must have that current referral in. If we get a funding request submitted, like Michelle said, we are following up with the social worker to confirm that they are eligible, and that just might slow down the process a little bit. So I think it's just helpful to make sure that they're enrolled and eligible before submitting the funding request. And then if you're unsure if your youth is eligible, you can always give us a call on our main number, and one of our staff can assist you in finding out what programs are eligible and what referrals are currently in our system. And then once you submit the funding request online, it's important that you should see a confirmation page. You should also receive an email summarizing the request details. It's a good idea to maybe check your junk mail if you didn't receive one of those emails back to you. That's just really important. If you don't see those two things, then something may have gone wrong, and you can try to submit the request again or reach out to us, and we can always look to see if we received the request. And once the funding request is submitted, the just-in-time funding team will contact you to discuss the request. That generally can take 3 to 5 business days from the point that it's submitted. And then once again, before submitting the request, you'll want to ensure that you have all the vendor or tutor information needed, because the funding request does ask for, what method of payment, and it asks for some information on where they're located and how we can contact them. And so, yeah, just wanted to make sure you have all that information. And then So right now, payment processing can take up to 3 weeks. This really does depend on the type of payment that is requested. So checks, physical checks are going to take a little bit longer right now, and obviously sending them in the mail. So yeah, so that's just something to be aware of. And if you have any questions about payment processing or how long it might take, you can always ask our staff, who will reach out to you individually. Here's an example of the Treehouse website where you can submit a funding request. www.treehouseforkids.org. It has a lot of great information on this website, eligibility information. So if you're not sure, if my youth is eligible for the program, that's a great place to check it out. And then on the CARES Project tab is where you can submit a funding request. If your youth is eligible for just-in-time funding, it's the same form actually. So either way, the form, whatever you're requesting, is submitted to the same staff, and we're able to process it. So this is some things that we're asking from caregivers before submitting the funding request. I went over some of this already, but just determining what type of tutoring is best for your youth. I went over some of that, so I just will skip over it. And then identifying the tutoring company or individual tutor, and gather that contact information. Because what we'll be doing is connecting with that tutoring company or that individual tutor to determine, when they can accept our payment and everything. So the more information you have, the better. And then you'll want to confirm that they can accept business checks, if that's the way that payment can be made. We can also pay with a credit card over the phone or online. Those are all great options. And then as well as submitting, so once you submit the funding request, we may need some additional information. So our Treehouse staff will reach out to you if there is any more information needed. And then the other thing is that once you submit a funding request for 12 sessions, or however many tutoring sessions that you need for your youth, please go ahead and submit another set of funding requests if you need more. So it's we're trying to limit, what we can pay for all at once, but really we want to make sure that it's a match for your youth. And so, after those 12 sessions, you may realize that they want something else, or that was enough, or whatever it might be. So we want it to be customized to the needs of your youth. This is another part of our website that I wanted to share with you. It's our resource center. And so this is a great place to start if you're not sure, where to look for a tutor. We're going to be continually adding to this resource center on our website. So you can go here and find paid tutor centers, and as well as some free tutoring resources that are available all year round, even after the funding is going to be gone and after the contract ends. So we're currently hoping to expand this as we learn and as we move along, and we're expanding our team as well to build capacity, and so that we can really work on providing as many resources as we can to our families. I really wanted to highlight some free tutoring resources. You can also find this in the Resource Center on our website. So most libraries do offer free tutoring online, if you aren't aware. These are the different regions throughout the state that tutoring is offered. So in all these, at all of these libraries, they must have a library card to access the library help or the homework help online. If your student does not have a library card for any reason, which, those can be hard to get, we understand that. But if they don't have a library card, or the library does not offer tutoring, they can request a library card online through iFoster. And the information is here. We can, like I said, this is also included on our website on the Resource Center. And this is just a really valuable, I think, free tutoring is a valuable tool. Like I said, the temporary or the funding is temporary and it will run out. But this is also, I think the library is just a great resource. It's a great way to, add another tool to your toolbox and really get your youth engaged in their community. And yeah, I think it's just a really great resource to share. So we wanted just to remind you of that one. So another part of the contract is we're wanting to get some of your feedback. So with the CARES project, we're using this as an opportunity to gather feedback from those submitting funding requests. And so that would include you all, caregivers, youth, and social workers. So at the bottom of the funding request form on our website, you'll see an option to decide whether you want to be a part of our surveys. And so you'll check the box if you want to opt in. It's completely optional. And the survey will be sent by email. And so the idea of the survey is to ensure that our services are a good match and we're meeting our youth's academic needs. We also hope to gather feedback in order to understand if there are any other academic supports that we should be aware of that our youth are in need of. And then we also just really want to ensure that we're improving our processes and addressing any issues that arise as well. So that'll be a good place for you all to provide any feedback. And we're really open to hearing any feedback we can. And of course, this will help us report back to stakeholders about the outcomes of our CARES project initiative. So really appreciate anything you can provide. Oops, sorry. All right, we're almost done. Here we are.
Thanks, Sarah.
Michelle.
And just to keep up to date, we know that everybody's just inundated with emails and everything in this electronic culture we're living in, but we're going to have all our latest updates and FAQs that we put together from caregivers and social workers and other community members on our website. So just treehouseforkids.org. You can go under the CARES Project tab and it'll give you all sorts of good information. If you have an individual request about your youth, please go to the just-in-time funding. Are we able to put that in the chat? Chris, can we put the email address? And so you can ask individual questions about your youth, and that's probably the best and easiest way. And this is a personal note of mine. The Treehouse CARES Project is separate from the Alliance for Child Welfare Alliance Program, which is also called CARES, which is the Caregiver Retention, Education, and Support Program. So if you hear that, they came out at the same time. They're two separate programs to support caregivers, which is awesome, but they are different programs, just so you know. And with that, we're going to wrap up our presentation part of the training, and then we're going to open it up to questions.